like to dedicate this song to my mom.
wrote that there. check. Good evening. Good. Nothing? You hear anything? Is it on? 1 2 1 2 1 2. Good evening. All right. We're going to eat after, but can I have a good evening? Good evening. All right. Now, here we go. Here we go. Before we start, we would just like to bring your attention to the screen while we watch this brief video, and then after that, we'll be starting. Good evening again. My name is Pastor Neil Jennings, and I would like to welcome you all for this celebration service for Stephen Charles Gruber. And on behalf of the family, they would like to say thank you, and all the calls, all the text, all the WhatsApp, everything that has been used to reach out to them, they just want to say thank you from the bottom of their heart. And I just want to implore you, don't stop. Don't stop, because as we go through this time, as they go through this time, in the times of that quiet time is when it will affect them most. And a call, a hug, or whatever you can do, I just want to implore you, continue to reach out. And today, as we celebrate the life of herein called Gruber, instead of this long name, Gruber, we all know him as Gruber, right? All right. There will be laughter, there will be tears. Most of all, I think there will be, I can't really believe that he did that. If you know Steve, it'll be most of that. But let us hold on to these 73 years of life that he blessed us with. As we continue today, let me just remind you that Steve is not suffering now. I know we're crying, I know we do all this, but Steve is not suffering. There's no more pain. There's no more cancer. Steve is fine. This celebration today is to honor Steve, but it is also to help us deal with his loss. We will miss him, but let us celebrate his life and remember the impact that he had on each and every one of us in this room. We are grateful and truly blessed to have encountered a friend, a brother, a husband, and a loving father, and his name is Stephen Charles Gruber. Just a few housekeeping notes. For everyone that is on the program, please follow along closely, because we're not going to call you, you're just going to come up one right after the other. And so just pay attention. With that, let us open in prayer. Bow your heads, please. Father, we just thank you. We thank you for today, Lord. We thank you for this time that we get to come together and celebrate the life of a man that has impacted us immensely. Lord, I speak for myself, but I know he has touched my life, and he has touched so many others. So, Father, as we go through this time, as we go through this tears, as we go through this laughter, as we go through, I can't believe that he did that. Lord, let us remember him with fondness in our heart. It's just so beautiful. It says, a butterfly lights beside us like a sunbeam, and for a brief moment its glory and beauty belongs to our world, but then it flies on again. And though we wish it could have stayed, we feel so lucky to have seen it, so lucky it touched your path.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, we're going to have our candle lighting ceremony. As we light the 4 candles in honor of you, we light the one for our grief, one for our courage, one for our memories, and one for our love. The light of this first candle represents our grief. The pain of losing you is intense. It reminds us of the depth of our love for you. The light of this second candle represents our courage to confront our sorrow, to comfort each other, to change our lives. The light of this third candle is in your memory. The times we laughed, the times we cried, the times we were angry with each other, the silly things you did, the caring, and the joy you gave us. The final candle is the light of love. As we enter into this season, day by day we cherish the special place in our hearts that will always be reserved for you. We thank you for the gift of your living brought to us. We love you. Thank you.
Please join me in saying the Lord's Prayer. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lay down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Been asked to just sing this little song. I was gonna sit and play it, but you know, I got a little brain fart with these notes. It's been quite some time sitting to the keys and trying to sing, but it simply says, "Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, and let me stand. I am tired." You can clap. "I am weak. I am worn. Oh, through the storms, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, oh, hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. Help me sing that first verse again. Come on. Say, precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Oh, through the storms, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. God bless you.
Pastor Jennings, the Gruber family, friends of Steve, good evening. I'm a basket case. I cry easily, so if I'm crying, that's it for what I'm going to do. My poem is to my brother Steve, I'm going to miss you, but we have to continue to be strong for each other. And my poem says, when tomorrow starts without me. When tomorrow starts without me, and I'm not here to see, if the sun should rise and find your eyes all will fill with tears for me. I wish so much you wouldn't cry the way you did today, while thinking of the many things we didn't get to say. I know how much you love me as much as I love you, and each time you think of me, I know you will miss me too. But when tomorrow starts without me, please try to understand that an angel came and called my name and took me by the hand and said my place was ready in heaven far above, and that I have to leave behind all those I dearly love. But as I turned and walked away, a tear fell from my eye. For all my life, I've always thought I didn't want to die. I had so much to live for, so much left to do. It seems almost impossible that I was leaving you. I thought of all the yesterdays, the good ones and the bad. I thought of all the love we shared and all the fun we had. If I could relive yesterday just even for a while, I'd say goodbye and kiss you and maybe see you smile. But then I fully realized that this could never be, for emptiness and memories would take the place of me. And when I thought of worldly things I might miss come tomorrow, I thought of you, and when I did, my heart was filled with sorrow. But when I walked through heaven's gate, I felt so much at home. When God looked down and smiled at me from his great golden throne, he said, "This is eternity, and all I have promised you. Today your life on earth is past, but here it starts anew. I promise no tomorrow. But today will always last, and since each day is the same way, there's no longing for the past. You have been so faithful, so trusting, and so true. Though there were times you did some things you knew you shouldn't do. Groups, you know that. Ouch! But have you been forgiven, and now at last you're free? So won't you come and take my hand and share my life with me? So when tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart. For every time you think of me, you're right here in my heart. Steve, your memory lives on in me because my son has your name. So every time I say Stephen, I'm saying two Stevens, my brother and my son. Thank you.
This is Louie's eulogy for Uncle Steve. I write this message to celebrate, honor, and remember Uncle Steve, my father's youngest brother, whose departure has left a profound void in our hearts. Uncle Steve's life was a tapestry of vibrant memories, rich experiences, and enduring bonds that he shared with each of us. And it is with a heavy heart I commemorate my memories of him with you. From my earliest memories, Uncle Steve was a figure of fascination and adventure. My first encounter with his world was when my dad took me on a holiday to Miami to meet more of my Jamaican family when I was 7. It was there amidst the laughter and the warmth of my extended family that Uncle Steve introduced me to the simple joys of connecting with nature. One of my cherished memories from that trip was learning to catch wild lizards with Uncle Steve and my dad. I vividly recall his innate ability to engage with the natural world. This experience was not only fueled my passion for exploration, but also showcased Uncle Steve's gentle spirit and his respect for all living creatures. I was captivated by his skill and his ability to remain unflustered, even when a large lizard bit him hard and clung to his finger. As the large lizard dangled from his finger, he remained composed, a testament to his resilience and deep connection with the wild. His calm response to my concerned question, "Doesn't that hurt?" with a simple, "No, not really," spoke volumes. It wasn't just about enduring the bite. It was a lesson in coexisting with nature, in understanding and respecting its inhabitants. To my young mind, Uncle Steve was one of the coolest men on earth. Uncle Steve's influence extended far beyond those early lessons in Florida. His adventurous spirit and love for the wilderness inspired me to embark on my own journeys, exploring over 40 countries, immersing myself in diverse cultures and landscapes. His legacy lives on in the countless adventures I've pursued, and Uncle Steve's spirit of adventure became a guiding force in my life. My childhood memories with Uncle Steve are filled with moments of wonder and discovery. From the thrill I felt while holding onto his back as he swam underwater at his pool, as I learned to hold my breath for longer time periods, to the awe of interacting with his vibrant macaw parrots and witnessing the natural cycle of his albino python as it suddenly caught a mouse we had given it for lunch. Each experience was a lesson in bravery, respect for nature, and the beauty of the untamed world. One of my most cherished memories is of a hunting expedition we embarked on during my teenage years. Under his guidance, we navigated the wild, learning not just to hunt, but to appreciate the bounty of nature. Learning to pluck, gut, season, and cook the plump doves we had carefully hunted was not just about the act itself, but about understanding the cycle of life and our place within it. This experience was more than a lesson in survival. It was a rite of passage, a sharing of knowledge from one generation to the next. Uncle Steve also played a pivotal role in connecting me with my heritage during my first visit to Jamaica in my early 20s. As my father was the first to pass, he wasn't ever able to take me to Jamaica or meet my family. But Uncle Steve was there to introduce me to the island's breathtaking landscapes, vibrant culture, and rich history. Through his eyes, I discovered more of Jamaica, a gift that profoundly added to my identity. Welcome at the airport, followed by an immediate excursion to the beach bar. Perfectly encapsulates his zest for life and his knack for making every moment count. There, with the backdrop of the sea and the taste of the fresh conch soup, he not only introduced us to the island's culinary delights, but also to the simple joy of savoring the moment. This experience, set against the sound of the waves and the fresh sea air, was a vivid reminder of Uncle Steve's ability to blend adventure with the warmth of family connections, making even the simplest acts memorable. His generosity and hospitality knew no bounds, and his spirit of adventure was infectious. As we bid farewell to Uncle Steve, we take solace in the knowledge that his spirit lives on in each of us. He taught us to live life to the fullest, embrace adventure, and value our relationships with each others and nature. Today, we celebrate a life well lived, a man who touched our hearts and inspired us. Uncle Steve, may you rest in peace, your spirit forever flying free through the wild and beautiful places you loved.
I'm Yala, Poppy's youngest granddaughter. Hello. Okay. So many of you may know him as Steve or Steven, but I knew my beloved grandfather as Poppy. We all knew how much of a character he was, but I'd like to share my favorite traits about him. Poppy was a fighter. Not only did I witness him fight his hardest to beat cancer, I saw him survive multiple years living in a household full of 5 women. Drama, fights, and hormones surrounded him, yet he never ceased to continue to hold our family down. And Poppy was so knowledgeable. Raise your hands if you knew he taught himself how to become fluent in Spanish. Raise your hands if you knew he could name almost any strange-looking animal he came across. He loved nature, and nature loved him back. The way he loved animals always warmed my heart, and the connection they created with him as well just showed how much of a calming person he was. It's hard to get any species to trust you, but yet I've seen all of Poppy's birds, cats, and dogs feel secure in his hands. Poppy was a cook, one of the best I've ever known, hands down. He was the same big, special, beat-up pot for everything. He was caring. If his girls were hurting, he hurt too. And he cared for all of us, and that feeling Poppy gave me, I know I won't be able to find anywhere else. People tell me he's whipping my heart. Which I totally understand. However, my heart can't kiss my forehead the same the way he did. And he can't laugh the way he did at me and Jaylee's silliness. My heart can't rub my back when I'm having menstrual cramps. And the point is, my heart can't compare to Poppy in any way, and I don't want it to. Poppy was his own heavenly person, filled with an unlimited amount of joy and love. And we all will, forever miss him. He used to call me Sleeping Beauty because I could sleep all day to the point where it became scary. But may he rest in peace as my own Sleeping Beauty, and visit me when times get rough. I love you, Poppy, forever. Thank you for blessing me with not only a beautiful name, but with beautiful memories of you.
Grace and peace, everyone. My name is Angela, and I am reading this letter from his other granddaughter, Jaylee Smith, and it's entitled A Letter to My Superhero, and it goes as follows. There are no words to truly describe how amazing you truly were. In my head, you were the funniest, coolest person in the world. Everyone knew that where there was Tom, there was me. I grew up following you around the yard and lighting up with excitement the moment you walked into the room. To me, you were the funniest man in the world, the greatest chef and artist in the world, and my best friend in the world. Although we didn't exchange very many words, you taught me more about life than I realized. The love I held, and I will always hold, for you could move mountains. There is no world where I don't admire absolutely everything about you. There's no world where I wouldn't have given my life for yours if I could have. You touch so many people. Steve Gruber will always be synonymous with a great time and a great memory, and we can all attest to that. Yours is a soul that will stick with everyone who ever knew you. You are inside all of us. This world experiences one of its greatest losses the day you left it. And although you can't be here with us physically, although you can't be with me, you will always be my Tom. You will always be my superhero. And I will always be your fingers, your jet lag, your Jerry. Thank you.
With
At this time, we'd like to open the floor up for anybody that would like to share anything regarding Steve. And there's certain stuff that we can keep to ourselves. So whoever wants to come, please, and keep it to 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm Newton Jackson, popularly known as Jacko. All right, 3 weeks ago, I got hit by something, man. I don't think Mike Tyson could hit so hard. Seriously. We are here today to remember, to mourn, and to celebrate the life of my very good friend, Steve Gruber. This was a life that was tragically cut short, but a life that was lived to the fullest. As I remember and honor my great friend, Doc, I found him at all times a man of understanding, sympathy, learning, and integrity. He was a man of high standards and enthusiasm. He was a man who took in his hand, everybody loved, man, is like a friend. I mean, everybody come across him. Whatever task he took in his hand, he never dodged the responsibility. What he believed in, he believed with his heart and soul. Our relationship was built with a dragon stout in hand and quickly evolved to share many family gatherings and other pleasant activities over the years, both here and in Jamaica. With his passing, Doc has left behind a legacy of kindness, compassion, and generosity. Steve shared a great humor and a big smile with everyone he met. He definitely played an integral part of creating a solid foundation of friendship in our group. When times were difficult, he held his head up high to the end, showing what it's like to finish strong. He was surely a man who embraced life with open arms and drank deeply from the cup of experience, and who believed in making each moment count. Doc truly believed the idea that every day was a chance to learn, grow, and evolve. His quest for knowledge was unending, and his mind was not just a fertile field of ideas, but a wellspring of wisdom and a beacon of enlightenment. Doc amazingly had a deep love for nature. I know, man, I've been to the house. And he always believed that nature teaches about life, beauty, and resilience. He saw nature as a philosophy, a way of life. One thing I know that made my good friend extraordinary was his uplifted spirit, his unyielding courage, and his great optimism. Even in the face of adversity, he remained extremely helpful and positive. His uplifted spirit was not just an inspiration, it was a strong force and a guiding light. I will always hold on to these memories we joyfully share together. In closing, I warmly extend to the family my deepest sympathy in this here time of sorrow. I simply end with the quotes. You never lose what you love if you love what you lose. Thank you. And may Doc rest in peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Little Jackal. This is the bigger Jackal we have here today. I traveled on Thursday, and everybody know in Jamaica, if you travel from St. Anne's Bay to Montego Bay, you have to stop at like 4 or 5 little watering holes. And I think it be coming down, it's like I never saw people cried so. When I told them I was coming to Florida, and they said, one thing, first thing they said, how is that? Because we travel together everywhere we go, There are stories that we won't tell you here. Okay. I came here trying to do something, but I'm on my phone, I'll tell you the truth. So while you laugh, man, I have help here, Put it back on. Yeah. I couldn't come here and not try something, If I told you the kind of life that we lived. First of all, my name is Dr. Wasibumtu, So, give me music around there. Let me try to go with this one, And this is how we feel and felt about Doc. If you give a little more than you take, and if you try to fix more than you break, if you're the kind who takes the time to help a stranger in the rain, there's a place for people like Doc. If you stand up for those down on their knees and lend a voice to those who cannot speak, if you shine a little light and give the sight to the ones on your lost, there's a place for people like Steve. I heard up there the streets are made of gold, and when you get there, there's a hand to hold. I believe when your days down here are through, there's a place up there for people like Doc. If you walk around with your heart on your sleeves, and if you try to be the change you want to see, if you lay down your life for love so someone could be saved, there's a place for people like Doc. I've heard up there the place that's made of gold, and when you get there, there's a hand to hold. I believe when your days down here are through, there's a place up there for people like Joe and Doc. I've heard up there the streets are made of gold, many hands to hold. I believe when your days down here are through, there's a place up there for people like us. I know you're out there, so keep doing what you do. There's a place up there for people like Doc. There's a place up there for people like Doc. I'm gonna miss you, Doc, very, 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 very much.
Praise God. This is the celebration of Steve's. So, as it was said previously, he would not have wanted us to be sad, but to be joyous because of the lifestyle that he lived. And by the grace of God, God allowed him to be part of the life that he lived with each and every one of us. We all have had a story to tell about being around Steve. As it was said, and as I know, because he entrusted me, Angela Miller, with Joan and himself to be part of their life, entrusting me with the honor of being his his daughter's godmother. And I never took it for granted. I'm so proud to be part of everything that is taking place today. Joan and Steve and I go way back from New York. Joan and I were nurses. We met that way. Steve, we met, know about how he went to be a doctor. We shared lots of many memorable situations, and only God, as it was said, such a wonderful, decent, loving, caring individual that he will give everything to any of us. And I know each of us have a story about that. So giving God honor for the life of Steve Gruber, giving God the glory that he had kept him for the 73 years of life in his presence and in our presence. And to Joan, to Shani, to Shika, to all the rest of his family, his grandchildren, his granddaughters, to God be the glory for the great things he has done in his life and in your life, and for giving us the opportunity to have been a part of this. So scripture tells us, Lord, all of his love he has entrusted to Steve, and in return he gave it back. Scripture tells us mourning is by. It's a season that we all have to go through. And not difficult, we will miss him, but the most beautiful thing, and that I can say that because I experienced it with the passing of my mother, the thing to hold on to are the wonderful memories that he has left back, and the life that he lived as a legacy to his daughters, to his grandchildren, to this room of friends, and I'm sure for much more others that were not able to be here and be present in this celebration of life. Weeping may endure by the night, but joy comes in the morning. His word also tells us that he will never.
Jackie?
Start. Start. I can make it. It's okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today's reading is taken from Philippians chapter 4, verses 4 through 8. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say, rejoice. Let your gentle spirit be known to all people. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and pleading with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, and if anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Thanks be to God.
Bernie?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry. I'm here with Joan. She's my beloved friend, and her husband is also one of my husband's friends from high school. So I'm here to read for her her letter to her husband. We're gathered here today to celebrate the life of a man who touched our lives in ways that words cannot possibly capture. A man who cannot be replaced, at least not in my heart. We shared a lifetime of marriage, which was not at all perfect, but it has been said that we're perfect for each other, which is true. And I strongly believe that we were. Our daughters, Shika and Shani, and granddaughters, Jelly and Nayla, loved them tremendously. He brought love, joy, laughter, and inspiration to their lives and into the lives of anyone who knew him. As we commemorate his journey, let us reflect on cherished memories we hold dear and embrace the humble and inspirational spirit that Steve exuded throughout his time with us. In this world that often challenges our spirits, his humility remained unshakable. He treated everyone with the utmost respect, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity within each individual. Today, we find solace in the words of the prayer chosen to honor him. May the light of love guide his soul to eternal peace. May the wings of hope carry him through eternal bliss. Grant him serenity as he rests in divine embrace. And may his memory forever inspire acts of grace. Let these words weave through our thoughts, offering a comforted embrace during this time of sadness. What I feel today is a heartfelt gratitude for the life we celebrated here today. Gratitude for the overwhelming support and love we received during the profoundly difficult time. I am not here just to say farewell to Steve, but to extend a heartfelt thank you to every one of you. Stephen Charles Gruber, may your soul forever rest in peace. You are truly loved by many. Love, Joan. Thank you, guys.
In conjunction with the tribute that has been rendered, it has been requested that this song be sang, and I'm going to do my best for you. I wanted you for life, you and me in the wind. I never thought there'd come a time that our story would end. It's hard to understand, but I guess I have to try. It's not easy to say goodbye. For all the joy we shared, all the time we had to spend. Now if I had one wish, I'd want forever back again. To look into your eyes, hold you when you cry. It's not easy to say goodbye. I remember all the great times we had. So many memories, some good and some bad. And yes, through it all, those memories will last forever. There's peace in where you are. Maybe all I need to know. And if I listen to my heart, I'll hear your laughter once more. So all I have to say I'm glad you came my way. It's not easy to say goodbye. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Say goodbye.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Breathing the birds, it's on my doorstep. Singing sweet songs of melodies. 'Cause every little thing gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds beside my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true. Saying, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing. Worry about a thing, no. Every little thing gonna be alright. Don't worry. Saying, don't worry about a thing. I won't worry. Every little thing gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing gonna be alright. I won't worry. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's pick up the sunlight in the day and the moonlight in the night. Fishes are dancing in the rivers rolling by. There is still a blue sky until another day they cry. I wonder why some people say, oh yeah, life goes on. Life goes on, life goes on, 'cause every day another day is born. Oh, no. Another loving to be defined. Sweet, sweet memories on my mind. We gotta take some time. Cease from war, beginning on crime. Oh, life goes on. Life goes on, life goes on, 'cause every day another day is gone. Oh well, just think of the life that you can live and the things that you can give. Remember every day you think positive and live. Life goes on. Life goes on, life goes on, 'cause every day another day is gone. Oh well, and if you have the money to go to the party, and even if you can't afford the latest style, for every good thing in life gotta take some time. Life goes on. Life goes on, life goes on, 'cause every day another day is mine. Love the moon, love the sun. Yes, love is happiness so when you're feeling sad. Love the moon and love the star, loving to be defined. Sweet, sweet memories on my mind. There is still a blue sky, still another baby cry. I wonder why some people sigh. Oh well, life goes on. Life goes on. Life goes on. 'Cause every day another baby is born. And if you have the money to go to the party, and even if you can't afford the latest style, for every little thing takes some time. So in your mind you gotta think and take it fine. Life goes on, life goes on, life goes on, 'cause every day another baby is born. No, another mountain we must climb, another loving to be defined, sweet, sweet memories on my mind. Life goes on, life goes on, life goes on, 'cause every day another baby.
Good evening, folks. My name is Trevor Fisher, and Joan asked me personally not to make this boring. She said he lived a lively life. Pardon me? No. Anyway, Jacko, I don't want to step on your toes, but now that you guys have heard the rumbar version of that song, Mr. DJ, can you give me the recorded version, please? DJ, just make it continue, but lower the volume for me. Make it roll so Jacko can understand how it's supposed to sound, all right? So just make it roll in the background. Anyway, folks, it is written, in the end, it's not the years in your life that counts. It's the life lived in your years. Let me get my drink because in case me lose it, just want you know, say something strong inside and when me drink sometimes it splash in my eye and you know, kind of hurt a little bit, but he was special. So, I said, in the end, it's not the years in your life that counts. It's the life lived in your years. Stephen Charles Gruber. Yes. At 73, you had a full life. Today we come together to celebrate the vibrant embroidery of your of the life you painted. At 73, he didn't just live his years. He danced through them with such exuberance that even time couldn't keep up. Easily, he doubled 73. Guys like us. He was the maestro of entertainment. His infectious laughter, like a joyful melody, would lift the spirits of anyone within earshot. And on that mischievous charm of his, it couldn't turn any ordinary day into an adventure worth remembering. So many things I shall not forget. The smile in remembrance lives on, guys like us. As Joan will tell you, they traveled many different places. Steve was the kind of guy who, after meeting a taxi driver on one of these trips, before you know it, Steve and Joan was having dinner at that taxi driver's home. Guys like us. Many of us travel in a taxi, we don't even know the name of the driver. Not Steve. Steve lived with a childlike endearment. It's like when you're growing up and your childhood friend would say, Sefe. For those who come from Jamaica, that means I dare you. And just because you say Sefe, Steve is going to take it on, although he knows that probably a good bossassin is going to continue after that. But that was Steve. He lived it to the fullest. I will share some of these experiences, and others will let it lie. Picture this: a lively morning buzzing at 4 a.m. filled with bustle of preparation as we gather our guns and bullets for a day of hunting adventure. Now I must admit, if our homes caught fire, the fire rescue guys would not venture there because all the ammunition going off in that house, they would think it's a fireworks thing and it just would not have happened. But let's not dwell on that minor detail, shall we? We just think about the fun we had going there. With the sun barely peeking over the horizon, we are already itching to hit the outdoors for some good old-fashioned fun. And let me tell you, Steve is the mastermind behind all the entertainment. Sure, he's not always the most serious guy, but when it comes to gun safety, he is like a guardian angel. Remember, watch your trigger on the figure. Watch your finger on the trigger. Watch where you're pointing that thing. Make sure when you fire, everything behind you is clear. Hey, pack that up neatly. That was the kind of person he was when he was around us doing those kind of things. I remember one particular hunting trip, my uncle went along with us. But he was hesitant at first, worried about the game that was in season. But leave it to Steve to lift his spirit with a simple declaration: everything is in season this week. You come the right time. And just like that, my uncle was off, shooting everything in sight with a grin on his face, thanks to Steve's infectious enthusiasm. Guys like us. Oh, let's not forget his culinary delights we cooked up together. From expertly preparing an alligator tail, complete with Steve's guidance on separating the white meat from the red, and storing the bounty of ducks below the bedliner of the pickup truck. Who knew ducks were not in season then? Every moment was filled with laughter and camaraderie. Guys like us. That was Steve. And speaking of laughter, remember that time we shortcut and the gate was locked, but it was the only gate between us and getting back on the highway. Of course, we wanted this lock open, and Steve pulled out his .50 caliber handgun. Sorry folks, spoiler. It doesn't happen like it happened in TV. After 4 or 5 attempts with that .50 caliber on that chain lock, we decided we need to turn around and go home. We reached home very late that night, but called ahead and said, hey, put on the pot to boil because we're coming home with ducks. That was Steve for you. That's the life he lived. That's how I remember him. Those are the many things that I remember as we go through. Steve had this knack for turning every hunting trip into a memorable escapade. With him by our side, every moment is an opportunity for laughter, excitement, and maybe even a few misadventures along the way. Cheers to the joy he brings into our life, one hunting trip at a time. You know, Pastor Neil stands up here, part of the group. He was the only one amongst us that had that tufenke shotgun. Steve had a Mossberg and Neil had a Mossberg, and Steve would always complain, "Hey, where you get that Tufenke shotgun from?" And then he would give the hey, hey, hey. That was Steve. One of the times we were there, and a wildlife officer approached us. And he said, "You know, guys, I see you're out here, and my job is really to make sure that you're hunting under the proper conditions, you know, because I don't know how much you know, but sometimes, depending on what you're hunting, the capacity of your shotgun counts. So you have to put a filler inside there so you can only carry 3 shots." So he pulled up on us and he said, "I know you guys outnumber me probably 6-1, but I would like to check your guns." So we cooperated, laid all the guns on the hood of the truck, and tirelessly he went through them. And yes, some of us didn't surrender all our arms because we didn't know who he was and what was happening. But he looked at us, 6 of us there, and he says, 29 guns? You think you have enough? Anyway, he was very courteous. It was a very courteous encounter, and he went on his way. One of those times, Steve came hunting with a crisp leather hat. You guys may have seen it in the picture there. But it was a boring day. Not much was happening. Nothing to hunt. Steve says, "You know what? Let's put this hat at a good range over there. Use your handgun because I want a bullet through it. Give it some character." Now, I laughed like crazy going home the other day because when I told this to John, John said, "I feel me hat, you know." Things was never boring around Steve. Another day, we got hungry because, as I said, there was just nothing there. Because we go, we shoot ducks, coot, and some of them rabbits, some of them were prepared on the spot. He was like that. Make a fire right there and we'll make it happen. But there was just nothing out there, and we said, "Hey, we have to go back to what we brought up," and there was a tin of corned beef. Steve said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I was corrected. Bully beef for you guys who know about it." Steve said, "Look, we're hunting, and if you're going to eat it, you need to shoot it." So again, he took it out a distance and said, "After somebody shoot that, we will have it." That's Steve. That's what he was about. Now, what the well-kept secret was that Eddie and Steve, my brother and Steve, went up to Belglade with the 40 caliber. And Steve told me that, you know, he saw a deer and he lined it up. Boom! The deer run and nothing happened. But what that caused was the wildlife officer to come to them. Little did Steve and Eddie know, when he pulled up, he asked them for their firearm, showed it to them, license, showed it to them, and the officer said, "This is all good, but at this time, you're restricted from having any firearm at all on this area." So they both got tickets for that. But Steve never shared this with us. It went on until they got through with the courts and everything. That was when we learned all about that. He was the kind of guy that, you know, would sit and say, "Hey, Trevor, let's go get a rammy goat." You know, some guys over out west will just kill it at home and we just do goat head soup and curry goat. Remember tying the goat up in the orange tree around back? And when we had the goat legs tied up, ready to cut the throat, my Black American neighbor came out and said, "A goat, a goat, a goat." And at the time, it was just about the time we were going to slit the head. She ran back in the house and we never saw her again until about 3 months later. And Steve would come home And I call it home because our home was his home to his wine glass. He had a wine glass that sit in our wall unit. And whenever he decided to drink, he would reach for that glass because he knew his place in our home. And he knew that that was where he left his belongings. Steve could cook. His culinary skills were just outstanding. And he always combined these exotic meats, and everybody can get a belly full. There are many times he laid on the table and he would childishly laugh at folks jumping into it because he knows that they don't know what they're eating. Talk about alligator tail. I remember my uncle basking in it, having a good old time, and he says, "This tastes like kingfish," and Steve says, "Yes, it is." You know, when it comes down to cooking, he shared some of his roast beef treasures with Donna as to how to prepare it, but Steve didn't just teach her how to do it. He also brought the pot and he says, "That one has been cured, it's ready for you, go on using it." He's that kind of guy. We also visit him in Jamaica, and Donna would say to us, during that trip, it was the best lobster she has ever had. No, she's a lobster person. And it was just us going out to the beach and early, and he was met by Lloyd. And Steve said, "Lloyd, you having a lobster?" And before you know it, Lloyd just pulled the glass over his face, went diving, came up with 1 lobster, come up with 2 lobster. And when he went for the 3rd, Steve started making the fire, just taking the bramble on the side of the beach, making a fire. Came up with the 3rd lobster, and Steve had them cooking right there, roasting them right on the beach. When they were ready, bust it open, take the meat out of the tail, dip it in the salt water, and say, "Go on, try this." That is Steve. The next big thing that still baffles me is Lloyd catching a man-queen crab. Well, now we realize that the snow crab is what they call the queen crab. And apparently, when it was a male and Lloyd caught it, and he told us he caught a man-queen crab, that was something that lived on with us for the longest time. And you know, whenever he come in, he would say, "What's up, man, queen crab?" He had some affiliations with the St. Anne's Bay Hospital. So, you know, you go to Jamaica, you visit with Steve. Steve is going to give you a good time. So he decided that, yeah, he's going to check by the hospital. And of course, Pastor Neil Jennings wasn't Pastor Neil Jennings then. So he went on a tour with Steve. So as they walked through the restricted areas of the hospital, the nurse looked up on Steve, and I mean, she was coming towards them to say, "Don't worry about it, nurse. Dr. Gruber and Dr. Jennings taking a tour of the hospital. Don't worry about it." And they were out of there. Guys like us. When playing dominoes, Steve would ask, "Who is the senior partner?" And if you ever played dominoes with Steve, you would know that the senior partner is the one who keeps 6 dominoes, and the junior partner plays with 8. And depending on how much rum was served, it's fun to see how those dominoes game got counted and got scored. And for all of those who read domino couldn't understand how the dominoes got separated like that, sometimes he'll pass a domino under the table, especially if he's swapping with the partner and get it back. And when they say, "How much you have?" he would hold them up like this. So you have a chance to count if the game going black. He really was a kind-hearted person. So to go to a wedding. had difficulty scheduling the hairdresser. And Steve said, oh, don't worry about it, man. We can't perm the hair. Don't worry about it. Desperate, kind of cautious, she asked him. When it was done, the hair was straight, not a curl, it lay down flat. And the person said, what happened, Steve? He said, I don't know, the perm must have been there too long. And he said, but I thought you said, you know, it's done. He said, yes, I said I knew it was done, but I've never done it before. That is Steve, folks. That's the first hand, and it continued to grow. And Steve said, Trevor, what you did about that? I was like, we got to the doctor. Nah, you don't have to do that, man. You know, all you need to do is just lance it and take it out. And I was like, yeah, you fix our hair. You think me tripped? But Steve was such a calm talker, convinced to do anything. I have this scar here. Steve was the one who lanced it and took it out. Now, I don't know if you all know about Jamaica customs and what their customs line look like you go down there. A little bit different from Miami, but when you get in, you have these long lines. And our dear friend Steve met somebody there and decided that, you know, the act that this person is performing on stage would go well if the act involved a reptile. You know, we all talk about Steve and how he loved the wild. So he decides I'm going to improve the act. So deciding that, then he said, okay, I'm going to sedate the Fly Air Jamaica, the on-time airline. Well, we all know that Fly Air Jamaica, the Suncom airline, is the real thing I should do. So, of course, because the Suncom airline run late, the sedation on the reptile wore off. So here is Steve in customs, put the pillowcase on the inspection station. Customs officer look at it and him see the pillow goes up. And him jump back and him say, oh, what that? Steve, you know, Steve is a talker, calm, cool, collected. Whisper to the customs officer, just cool, man, it's a snake. Steve said in that exact instant, the customs officer was on the adjacent table, hollering, snake, snake, snake. That made the news in the Jamaica Gleaner, folks. That is Steve Gruber. Those are some of the things that he has been up to. When drinking rum, the fun doubled. You know, we have taken him home a few times because we thought it was not proper for him to be on the road in that state. Took him home, parked his car in the garage, make sure he was home safely, and the following morning he would call us asking, where's the car? What do you mean? It's in the garage. No, I've been in the garage and the car is not there. Steve, sober up and go look in the car again. Oh, okay, me find it. Then, there was this early Sunday morning that Joan called us from Texas. Trevor, what I do with the man him in a pool with a woman naked? What, Joan? And him tell me, you know, him tell me. And he say you was there. I said, well, damn. Well, Joan, we were having a get-together there, and one of the individuals said, I would jump in the pool, you know, but I don't have my bathing suit. And of course, in passing, she said, jump in as you are. But I don't want my clothes get wet. And Steve said, well, take it off. And the person responded, if I take off peace, will you take off peace? Guys like us Joan, that was how it went down. Of course, having 25 guys around the edge of the pool, egging him on, you know, as I said, Steve was not going to back down. Steve was always jovial, supportive, friendly. And as we go into the next event and release butterflies, as you may have seen on the program, I'll say, it is said, if you love something, set it free. If it never comes back, it was never yours. If it does, it is and will always be. In becoming the butterfly, the caterpillar doesn't slowly grow from one stage to the other like a tadpole would transpire into a frog. The caterpillar is completely lost, replaced by something beautiful that has been forged in loss, struggle, and potentially pain. Truthfully, we don't know yet whether insects feel pain, but for the purposes of this conversation, we will assume they do. The loss of the caterpillar is full. Inside the chrysalis, dominant genes within the caterpillar are activated, which then begins to dissolve its own tissue into a genetic soup. Then that free floating material that was once a caterpillar begins to recreate itself into something entirely new. Emerging, the butterfly looks down from a winged perspective, looking at his brothers and sisters down there, flying above, saying, everything is all right. Folks, that is where we are with Steve today. Everything is all right. With that said, we will move into the next portion of the event where we're going to be releasing butterflies. And Bear, that's not it? I'm sorry. Okay, Pastor Jennings, I give it to you to take it back. Thank you very much, folks.
You captured Steve Gruber. You reminded me of so many memories that I forgot. Wanted it to stay forgotten. But however, you brought them back to memory. So I thank you for that. You know, we have laughed, we have cried, we have celebrated the life of Steve Gruber, and we will have even more time later on. But if you will just indulge me for 2 minutes, one of the things, although we celebrate Steve's life, one of the things when we come to a function like this is it reminds us of our own mortality. It makes us look in the mirror. It reminds me of the story of this grandfather, and he was at his grandson's high school reunion. High school graduation. And as he looked to his grandson, he said, "Grandson, what are you going to do after you graduate?" And he said, "Listen, Grandpa, I am going to go to college. I'm going to work in finance." And he says, "Okay, after you do that, what then?" He says, "Once I do that, I'm going to become a multimillionaire." He says, "Good. What then?" He says, "After I become a multimillionaire, I'm going to marry my college sweetheart, have my 2.5 children, and just live life." Grandfather said, "What then?" He says, well, I'm going to be rich, retire, and then maybe one day after I retire, travel the world, eventually I will pass on. I will die. Grandfather looked at him and he said, what then? You see, he had hit every mark in life. He was successful. He did all this. And just like this young man had no plan for what then after he died, what about us? What then? You see, John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have what? Everlasting life. Jesus Christ is the answer to everybody for what then? Let us pray. Father, we thank you today for this time that we spent remembering our friend Stephen Charles Gruber. You had him on loan to us for 73 years, and we have all been truly blessed by him. He has impacted so many lives, and though he may be gone from this earth, he will never be forgotten. Though we may have sad days and days that are even happy, we have the memory of a man that was loved by both friends and family. And again, we say, Lord, thank you for blessing us with his presence. Lord, today as we close, we dedicate him back to you. We thank you for the time that he was here. You have now called him home, and we release our hold on him and lay him in your precious arms. And to you that are here, may God bless you. Most of all, may he give you his supernatural peace. Steve, we will see you again. God bless you.
Family and friends, at this time, we will make our transition to the outside of the funeral home so that we can do our butterfly release. We do ask that the immediate family please stand first, make your way out through the chapel doors. To my left, your right, and those guests following behind the immediate family for us, please. Thank you. After the butterfly release, we will go ahead and commence with dinner. Guests and friends of the family, you may make your way outside as well.
Hello, thank you for allowing our family to serve your family in your time of need. Here at Bell's Funeral Home and Cremation, we will continue to pray for your family until we meet again. Remember, families only deserve the best.